What's up, Hockeys? Welcome back to another episode of Wellness in the Wavelength.
Today we're here with Steph, and we wanted to touch on the behind the scenes that go into these magical experiences, but also the struggles that come with it, with the production teams that come together to put these magical experiences together, but also the workloads that happen behind the scenes that we don't usually even think about. Steph, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you guys for having me. First off, I think this is super awesome. Like the having these conversations is so important, and it's pretty cool to, share my perspective as someone who works in the production side of festivals and events. But I've also, kind of dipped my toes into I started in media. I've been doing media for almost 10 years, photography, videography, and been doing the live VJing for about 5 years now. So I've had kind of like some different perspectives, and also worked as like a merch designer, graphic designer, done a lot of different positions in the scene. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and to share my perspective.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I'm kind of going back to how Paige like kind of kicked us off. I think obviously we enter these spaces and we're like, wow, beautiful, beautiful, magical land. This is amazing. Friends, lights, all those sorts of things that are like why people want to be in these spaces and like what makes them amazing. But I can say as someone who's like also who also works behind the scenes and has worked behind the scenes that there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of, I mean, I'll speak for myself here and I always keep it real. We're like I'm fighting for my fucking life. And I'm grateful for all the opportunities and all the communities I'm a part of. But I do think a lot of people don't realize the experiences of it's a duality, right? It's amazing and we love it, but there's also a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And I think with this podcast, that's kind of the point is to talk about that duality, to talk about the light and the dark of the experiences and the people in the background. They're not as thought of as much, obviously. Like, shout out DJs and producers. Thank you for putting on these amazing shows and bringing people in. But there's a lot that comes together just, for those moments that happen throughout an event, a festival, whatever it looks like. And so we're very interested in kind of hearing what your positioning is on that and just sharing your thoughts with us and all those good things.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I went to like my first festival, and I was, as soon as like it got dark and it became night and the visuals just illuminated the night, that just captivated me immediately. And I knew that that was what I wanted to do long term. It was more about like getting into it and kind of, finding someone to help me, teach me, help me get my foot in the door. That definitely took some time. It definitely was disappointing because I was very eager and I was very determined. I was in school at Florida State for fine arts, and I was kind of focused on video art, photography, graphic design. I was learning so many different aspects of digital art, and I just knew that I could contribute something to these events. And I don't know, festivals just really became this place for me that I felt like I could express myself in a way that I never could. For example, like at home, growing up like in a pretty strict Catholic family, going to Catholic school, like there's not much room for expression, especially in like those schools where you're forced to even like wear a uniform and conform to look that exactly the same. So I definitely, when I found the festival world, I found myself in a sense. So I definitely feel like I'm meant to be here. There's just been a lot of struggles that have like kind of, pulled me back and forth. There definitely was a struggle just feeling welcomed in the beginning. I felt like a lot of people weren't accepting that I really wanted to learn, the art of VJing as a female at the time. And, this was like before COVID, 2018, 2019 is when I really tried to dive into learning this art form. And yeah, it was pretty disappointing. And it wasn't until I met another female VJ Cobra online that I really got any type of feedback or, advice or help. And she's seriously like an angel to me because she was kind of the first person that gave me any type of help and guidance. And she even let me come over to her house and showed me the ropes, showed me the very introduction basics that carried me to actually learn the art form itself. So I think it was, disappointing that it was very difficult for me, like being so passionate and determined and knowing like I already know how to create. I'm having all these amazing professors at university teach me these softwares that are really difficult to learn. So I have all these skills. I just really wanted someone to be able to teach me. And yeah, I think that was a little bit difficult for me to face when I first um started. And I think I definitely gravitated towards my little group in Florida that was really giving me the time of day. My other mentor, Utah Visuals, like her, Cobra and Utah definitely were the two people that I think saw past that like stereotype like gatekeeping, and they're like, no, I actually care about you as a person. I think like you could go far with this. I'm gonna teach you what I know. And they didn't really expect much in return either. They were just genuine human beings like offering my help. So I do think if you find your people, you find the right people, you can do anything in this scene, but you can't just dive in without any help. Like you kind of have to get some guidance. And I think it's really important for, me to push for helping younger generations of artists, especially females, like have the opportunity to learn these skills because it was really difficult for me. So that's definitely something that I'm trying to push for, is giving back, since it was very difficult for me. If I can teach, 5, 10, however many people, the basics that can allow them to perform visuals, like that to me has it's been more gratifying than, getting these Red Rocks bookings or like these dream bookings that I have worked so hard for. So it does make me question like what everybody else is doing. Like I think there is time to be able to give back a little bit and to like teach and to, stop gatekeeping, give people like the opportunity to learn. That's definitely something that I feel pretty passionate about, I guess.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense because even though we were kind of starting this off talking about like thinking about the people, backstage or, wherever, not an attendee, right? It's also considering how they even got there, right? Like what did it look like for them to even get to those positions, which people often wonder too. And I think there has always been a hint of like gatekeeping that has existed, and I think it has like continued to exist to a certain extent. But I think in order to still give visibility to people that are working in the background, it's also like nurturing those people in the background, and building them up, because when you create that kind of community, they're kind of less in the dark to everyone else as well, right? Because if you like create this sort of like incubation tank of like gatekeeping, whatever it is, you kind of stay in that even with like in an external way where no one really knows and you're only in if you're in. But then like you kind of want to be thought about and you want people to know how hard you're working, but you're like in this incubator you created that's like not only not really letting people in, but not nurturing those people in a way to give them more opportunities, but also just to be thought of in a way of like well-being.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard because I feel like it is a competitive thing. Like us as humans, we are competitive by nature too. I feel like when you have so much time and effort dedicated to something and you see other people like, really just, I would say like talking about wanting something. Like I think that it's hard to see like who actually cares or who just like wants it for the wrong reasons. So I think that might be why people are hesitant to, help other people grow. Is are people really going to take it seriously? Are they going to really have what it takes? I do have compassion for people with my job not taking, people seriously who are ambitious to learn, just because people don't really understand what all goes into, performing visuals. And, there's a huge difference from someone who just like mixes other people's artwork or like pays for artwork. I definitely have like paid for artwork and used that in my sets. Like I haven't done completely all original sets all the time, but when I'm doing an all original set, when 100% of that artwork is made by me and I'm dedicating everything to this performance, it takes hours. It's not just like a 1 hour performance. It's probably 20, 30, 40 hours leading up to that event, like putting in to creation, setting up your performance, like running through the mixing styles. It takes a lot of time and effort, and it looks very fun when you see it all happening, but it's a lot of time and effort and sacrifice. So I do understand, like, some people might not be willing to take you seriously until you prove to them, oh yeah, I am willing to do what it takes. Because I have faced like some difficult, situations to where like I've even like tried to push myself too hard, so there's like two sides to it as well. Is like some people get into it for the wrong reasons, and some people are so passionate that they're willing to give everything up. And I think I was one of those people that, yeah, I was willing to sacrifice everything. I moved across the country to like fully pursue this dream. Like I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and moved to Denver because I knew Denver was more of a hub for what I wanted to do, for the music that I wanted to work with, the venues that were here. I completely like uprooted my life for this. And I think that kind of shows like the level of dedication that like I had to give like to make this work. And I didn't just move here and expect things to happen. Like I built the brand, put the time and effort into networking to build the right connections. I've learned so many lessons, taken time away to like process those lessons. I think there's just a lot that goes into the job that isn't, yeah, it's not advertised. Like no one tells you it, like going into it, like this is going to happen, because they can't. They like when it comes to production, like one of the most important skills to have is a critical thinking skill, to be able to think on your toes. And if you don't have that, you're not going to make it as a live VJ. Like you can sit at home and create art for artists all you want, but when it comes to being a live VJ, like you have to respond to so many different things in your environment that might be affecting like your job. So there's just a lot that goes into it, and it can lead to a lot of dangerous situations. I think like early on in my career, specifically, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. Like I was willing to do whatever, I was willing to do the most with the least. And
Yeah.
I was running myself dry, and I didn't even realize it until it was too late. And I think that is like a huge part of working in the music industry. Is some other VJ can give me a lot of advice and tell me every single experience they've gone through, but it might not even help me, because what I go through might be just completely different. And you just don't know what you're gonna be facing until it's right there in front of you. So I think that's like kind of a big thing about being in production, is like you have to be ready for chaos. Like almost it's never gonna go your way. Like if you're expecting the show, the set, the event to go perfectly, you're setting yourself up to fail. And I used to do that. I used to expect so much, and yeah, it kind of led to these like situations of, I'd say, like burnout and Yeah, just overworking myself to the point where I just started to not like it as much. And the funny thing is I've always come back. So I know this is where I'm supposed to be. There's just like there's a lot that goes with the job that is not publicized and not warned about. And yeah, I'm excited to be able to share my story as I go and as I gain these experiences because it has been a crazy wild past 5 years.
Oh my God, retweet. That's like about how long it's been for me and everything you're saying. We even like prepping for this, right? Like we talked about it and it translates to so many parts of like the industry. And like something that I tell teams that I work with, like on the festival side, is I'm always like, the best thing you can do is prepare for nothing to go as planned. And I call it the power of the pivot. I'm like, in every situation, you need to be thinking about how you're going to solve and pivot, not think about how stressful it is that this thing is happening because like it's out of your hands. And to your point, if you cannot master the power of the pivot, you will not make it because most things aren't going to go as planned. And if and when they do, just be so happy and you can like relish in that. But like that lesson alone, like regardless of where you're really at too, or like what sector is like, that's just what it is. Like that's the name of the game. It's like and of course to your point, and I want to make sure I like hit this, is like that looks different depend for everyone, right? Like in everyone's vertical that they're in within like the music industry. Like I'm talking non-DJ and producers. I'm just talking about like people that work in the back, in the scenes, behind the curtains. Like it is different, but that is something that's just so true. When you come in is like if you cannot pivot or be prepared for things to not go as planned, it will like you will get it. I mean, I don't want to discourage any listeners, but like it will eat you up and spit you out.
It will. No, that's like when I have people like inquire to me about lessons, it's kind of the first thing that I say. I'm like, are you ready to, be up on your toes all the time? And I think there's a difference between like doing this as a casual hobby and seeing this as like a career path. Like I want to be like very straight up. Like I never really saw this as like being a full-time career. This is something I wanted to do for fun, purely for fun, but I was so passionate about being able to do it. Like it kind of turned into that career and it kind of like took over. I still don't do it full time, but that's only because I am still not like mentally and physically prepared for that. And that's like what I would love people to take away from this is I've been in this industry. I think my first like real photography gig was when I was like 19 or 20 years old. So that was like the year before COVID. So when festivals were almost at its like peak, in my opinion, that's like when I really like started. And now like it's 6 years post COVID, which is like crazy to say. I'm still not prepared for what it is like what it takes to have this as like a full-time career. I know I'm ready this year to take on a tour and I hope to do that, but that is also still very different from like being in production full time. It takes a toll on so many aspects to do this full time. Like your hearing, for one, definitely takes a toll on to be exposed to that like loud volume of music every single night. Like I know house lighting designers and house VJs that work at that venue 3 nights a week. And it's just, to me, there's some venues that like their sound is just, wow, my ears, like, it just hurts so bad. So there's like physical things too that it's like demanding on. And, we're getting exhausted. A lot of people like, you know, we have to show up for programming at like before the show, then some of people have to stay for like breaking down the LED wall. Like there's all these positions that end up being like kind of an around the clock thing for if you're talking a 4-day festival. Like
That's
when
like
do
a 4 days like all year.
if you're house VJ. And that's why I lean more towards working with one artist, showing up with that artist, because I can't handle the what it takes to be on those like production teams. And I like applaud those people so much because I just don't really see how it's sustainable, because so there's people working for 8-hour shifts and then going to bed, waking up at 5 a.m., doing it all over again. Like festivals are so demanding, and that's actually why I haven't done a festival in 2 years. I have leaned more towards these like curated concert venues like Red Rocks, and doing stuff out in these amphitheaters in Vale and Breckenridge. Like I've leaned more towards these gigs because festivals to me, I just don't really understand how they're sustainable. Like once a year, maybe, but even like when I was younger, like I could never go to festivals as often as like a lot of college, like people at my college were. I was like fascinated how people could keep up with that. And when it comes to working in production for a festival, I want to say it's more like a nightmare than a dream, realistically. Like, unless you're with a team that is like, the headliner and you're getting that treatment, it is not a fun experience. I have had many festivals where like I've had the really great moments, but like overall, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to go sleep for 2 weeks now. Like that was
Minimum.
just insane. Like it to be on a production crew at a festival, it takes so much, especially if it's like one of those festivals that's like, on their first few years and it's more of a like collective art gathering. Um I love those. I'm not gonna lie, like they're usually like the best of times, but like coming from like an artist standpoint, like you end up being like just like, all right, the show must go on. Let's just keep running visuals because this guy didn't show up, or that guy's been working for 12 hours, so he should probably go to bed. I wasn't scheduled, but I'm here. Like that's how things end up working sometimes. Professional festivals like doing like Halloween, like that was a great experience. I've done like the projection mapping team for them, but even like that was around the clock work. When you're doing projection mapping, it's a whole nother story. You can only test that at night. So
Yep.
you got your, the people who are your best projection mappers that are going to be mapping at the hours that everyone wants to be. And then everyone else gets to map, like probably until 4 or 5 a.m. until the sun comes up. And it's just a ridiculous like amount of no sleep work, no sleep party for a lot of people. And it can be a lot of fun if you're into the partying, because that's how I see it getting dangerous is like people can keep going and a lot of people will lean towards like substance use for that. Like I kind of shake my head because I'm like, how the heck are people doing this? I can't keep up. And then I'm like, oh, they're like using substances, like using it as a tool.
A
That's
utility,
how they
a
can stay up all
utility,
night.
a
Yeah.
utility, if I may.
And even like caffeine abuse too. Like people are chugging Red Bull after Red Bull, yerb after yerb, like it's a, like a cup of tea. And it's concerning because I don't know, like people want to be the best. They want to dedicate the most time, the most effort. So they're gonna stay up late, they're gonna put in all this effort. But at what cost? They're like losing their mental and physical stability slowly. And I've noticed like I've always kind of been the one to be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. And even then, like some people are like, you're not gonna stay up and like continue working. Like there is like kind of a pressure sometimes at festivals to be like up around the clock working. Like never like I would say from, the person who hired me in my experience, but like other VJs, they'll sometimes be like, oh wow, like I'm probably gonna be up all night. And to me, I just think that's really bad way to treat your body. But I don't know, to each their own. Like you can be so committed to doing this that you are willing to sacrifice things that are going to take a drastic toll on your body. Like that to me doesn't really make sense. And I had to kind of cut that off as soon as it started happening to me. It just like kind of downward spiraled me, and I addressed the issue. I let it go on for a few years, but I started to realize like this is not worth it. Like, what are we all doing here? Like, people want to see my art, but like they want to see me healthy so I can continue to make art. It doesn't matter if I'm going to end up selling my entire body, soul, mind away and I'll have nothing left to create from.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us, even like just that perspective of like that hustle culture and how it like has penetrated and permeated even alternative culture in the festival scene, and how burnout is still this prevalent thing that we're all learning to work within ourselves and look at how we are showing up and what our jobs are asking for us and what we're asking for us ourselves in these jobs, and what we're pursuing. And I think that it's always a good thing just to like take a step back and always just like ask ourselves the question of like, why are we showing up here? What are we doing here? What is this for? How am I showing up? Yeah.
I also think it's sort of like you said earlier, stuff around like the mentality around having to prove yourself, right? So I think that's also partly why people get burnt out and why it leads to people having substance abuse issues, because there is this rhetoric that I think is personally kind of insane. I think, yes, you need to like work hard, right? And like just work hard and then you get good things and you move up. But like for me, the amount of times I've heard people kind of weaponize this, like, you need to prove yourself to people is so diabolical. And in that, like, in that journey of said person that is dedicated, loves what they do, right, is having to prove themselves, even though they like are doing the work and like also have, in some cases, obviously like an education in the formal way and then experience in, you know, in other places, maybe outside of the music industry. Like it's kind of wild to like that period of proving yourself, I think has become like actually quite like abusive in our industry to people and very exploitive. And I'm not trying to throw the word or abuse around, but like the way that I see people fall into heavy hardcore alcohol and substance abuse issues because they're in that period of being told they need to prove themselves and being exploited, even though they're doing all of the right things and their work is actually great. They're just trying to get more hands-on experience. Like that pipeline to addiction is crazy. And I think that like that's where this rhetoric gets kind of fucked up from the beginning for a lot of people. Is it's one thing to be like, yes, like work your way towards wanting more, right? You know, maybe you're not going to get the best time, or maybe you're not always going to get the best opportunity, or maybe you'll have not the best hours. But there's a lot of people that like have been telling people they need to prove themselves for actual years. And now those people are like addicts. And yeah, they might have made it for far and feel accomplished, but like now they have an addiction problem. And like I've seen that, continue to see it. And then either two things happen. They either get burnt out, right? Like they're like, I don't know if I can even do this at all. And I once upon a time loved it, but I had to spend 5 years proving myself. Um, or I think there's like the other, so they either get burnt out completely or like the other direction where, you know, they realize this is what's happening and then they reposition themselves with people and places that are like actually able to nurture them, and they find a way to exist in this space that's like healthy and sustainable for long term, like within their rules and their boundaries, and then try to make that better for other people. Like I can say, and it sounds like you're this way, Steph, and I really appreciate about you, and I've just learned through conversation is like people that have like asked me certain things or come or wanted to work with me, like I do whatever I can to advocate to give them as much as I possibly can give them. Like I'm never, probably to a fault in some ways sometimes, and I'm not saying that like, but where like I'm willing to like take a loss a lot of the time so that somebody doesn't feel like they're getting exploited in a situation, because I just like hate that. And I don't think it's creating an environment, an inclusive environment, or a plur environment. And I think it's hurting the community because I just think it's a really crazy rhetoric and it just causes people to go down really bad paths. And then by then they've normalized that behavior. And I do think it's hurting the community. And I think it's also stopping people that are very talented from making it as far as they can. And the ones that have, they've gone through so much that it's like they could write a book and they shouldn't have had to go through all that.
I completely agree. It kind of triggers something in my mind that people who are established or like have these like maybe lead roles in the scene, like managers, promoters, people creating festivals, owners of venues, like have experienced people creating opportunities just to be able to say, I created this opportunity for you. I made you. I did
Yeah.
this for you.
Oh,
Like now you owe me everything. And I
that
think
part.
yeah, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, fear in my mind to just let those people go because I think in all aspects of business like you're gonna see people like that. People create opportunities to take advantage in every industry. Like my dad owns a construction company. Like I know like in like other industries, like people, they see it, like they see the dollar sign aspects. Like at the end of the day, like if you see this as a business, like you do have like this other sense of attitude. So I don't know, it makes me I just like keep people at arm's distance, and when people cross me once, I usually take a step back, give them a second chance. And if they do it again, then I'm probably going to step up and say something, address it. Like, I don't really care what people think of me. Like, I'm going to always stay true to my experiences, to who I am, to making this scene a more welcoming place for people like me and to everyone. I want it to people to feel like they can be a VJ, they can be an LD, they can stand in front of house no matter what they look like. Everybody belongs. Like it is this art form that is a very niche thing. And I think if anyone feels called to it, that is fucking special. I think it's what is VJing? Like, I've been doing this for years and I post, I've had like 300 posts on social media and I still have people sometimes comment, what's VJing? Or my parents having like to explain to their friends or me having to explain to family members. It's like really difficult sometimes and it's like a nuanced thing. So if anyone feels called to be a VJ, that's crazy. In my opinion, the way I've seen it over time, it's just like it's just so niche and so special. So I'm willing to help anyone like achieve that. I just feel like they need to be aware of, yeah, when you come in as an artist, having this artist mind, this passion to share creation and to just feel and to express those feelings and hopes that other people will learn to express them and not like subdue and have to turn to things like substance because they can't feel. Like that's what we're here to do as artists. And there's other people in this industry that think only like, oh, how can I make money? How can we capitalize off of this brand? How can we manipulate this into being a money-making machine? And some people are really good at hiding themselves is like, oh, I'm passionate about artists. I'm passionate about, it's like there is a lot of manipulation and deception that you have to learn how to see through and know that if you are working with someone and they show you who they really are, if you drop them, that is not going to end your career. If you take a break, that is not going to end your career. You can come back stronger. There's going to be people in this industry that align with you 10 times better than those people. Like, leave those people behind that try to like keep you in this like box of where like they see fit for you. Like, you have to create your own reality. And I think that there's a lot of people that they'll see your talent and they'll want to like shape you and try to control that. And I don't know, I just think that there's ways to be very blind to that and allow that to control your career just because it feels safe, it feels comfortable. but I don't know, I just, to me, when people show me their true colors, if it's been more than two times, I'm like more than happy to move on because this community is so big. I'm finding a new female in this industry every single day. As soon as I like when I see a female I haven't recognized before in front of house, I'm like, I need to know who you are. Like it's growing. Our community is growing. It always has been, especially like for females. But it's a scary thing to not have conversations like this on a day-to-day basis because there are a lot of people that are just like, oh, they're getting TikTok famous and now they're performing at the top, festivals and they have no idea what like they're getting into. They just have no idea like how brutal it can be and that there is just so many realities that I'm not trying to scare people off. Like there's some really amazing aspects of my job. Like there's a reason why I come back to it even though I hate it sometimes. But there's just realities that I think that people don't talk about. Like there's just no conversations happening besides really Electric Hawk that I see that like kind of just shed light to the reality of what it is. Yeah, I like the term behind the curtains.
Yeah. I mean, everything you said just like spoke like straight to my soul, like 100%. And a big like golden nugget. And I wanted to actually say, like, I wanted to like scream when you said it because it was just so true. But I feel like we're gonna use it as golden nugget clip. But like, just about like the illusion, right? And but like being okay because you can be convinced that like if I leave this relationship or this connection that my whole career you like some people or a group of people can literally make you feel like without them you won't be anything, and that is just like so far from reality because there are so many people and so many different communities within this community that like if that's the case, right? Like if that's the case that this person has this much influence on you in your career, they would probably be further along themselves and not need to actually manipulate you. So, with that being said, I really just appreciate you pointing that out because that obviously is so like so true with your experience as a VJ, but like also in general in the industry for other roles is it's really easy to like be sold this illusion of community sometimes with certain people you're involved with when really it's just control. And then the illusion is I'm going to do all this for you, but then also I'm going to say I made you. And so it's like, you know, when people show you who you are, who they are, you like need to believe them and have grace for like us all being human and nobody being perfect. But there's always a community for you out there. So
Yeah, definitely.
even though obviously that there's these like dualities and bridges that you have to cross and some bridges that you obviously have to burn. I think that like the reason that we all are still here is because we love this industry so much, regardless of what vertical you're working in. There's that like fire within you and you meet so many amazing people. Like so many of my like closest friends now are people that I work with in some capacity, whether it's at a festival or for events or whatever it is, or some of my like closest friends that like if I decided to quit tomorrow would still be like such solid people in my life and they keep me going and they keep me inspired. So even with, us talking about like being mindful, right, of like who you surround yourself with and staying focused and all these sort of hardships, like, there's still the reason why we're here is because like it does offer us something so beautiful and so unique and so inspiring that I don't think there's many other people that work in like your typical 9 to 5 get to experience. And even as someone who does work in that, like this is such a special part of my life. And so I'm grateful for that. All the lessons learned, the good and the bad.
Yeah, I think there's so many relationships that I've aligned with through this community, and I think it's important to kind of see like at first like what people's like true intentions are because I think once you start sharing yourself with the world and sharing your talents, like there's a lot of people that want a piece of that, or there's people that truly want to support and see you grow. Like there is just like that yin yang balance of the world that like is very prevalent in the scene because it is like a tight-knit group as much as it's huge. Like it is a very like, small but big community. And I think I've aligned with some people that have seriously like changed my life. Like my best friend from back in Florida, Cassidy, Sacred. Yes,
Stephanie!
like she has taught me so much. Like our lives have been so parallel. We have so many similar, scenarios that we've had to navigate, and we found each other like through this community. And we have this like twin flame soul sister connection that has got me through so many difficult times. And I like right from the beginning like knew that like this was someone who genuinely cared about me, and I probably would have never met them outside of like if we didn't have this commonality in this community. So it is beautiful like what it can give. All these I love to call them like the little tech nerd VJs, like all these people that like have a very similar brain to me. Our personality is very antisocial, and like I even take, it's hard for me to even text like my closest friends back sometimes. So this scene has also like brought all these people that I feel like might have these antisocial computer nerd personalities to where like I have known them online for years, and then I actually get to meet them in person, and it's this really crazy cool experience that I get to meet people pretty much from all over the world now at this point that have this common love and passion for creation and for music and art in all forms. And it's where we can all come together. That doesn't even matter like what type of art form you're into. It's like we're all just these co-creators. Like even if like you're creating is just telling jokes and laughing like at the shows. Like there's so many aspects of being a creator that people don't even recognize. Like every single person has like this creative force within them. It's all about how do you express that. And like there's people in this community that can really teach you how to like express that. There's definitely people that will try to like take that talent from you, but I think as long as you're not like blind to people's intentions, and you really open yourself up for the possibility to like make genuine connections, like you'll be able to see like who's actually there to support you and who's not. It might take some time, but I think the more genuine connections that I've made are definitely more significant than anything else. And it's always pulled me back. Like I have burnt myself out time and time again. I've struggled with substance abuse, but I've always come out on the other side. Like I actually went to rehab like a year ago, like a few days ago. So it's like been a year for me for my huge mental health journey in my sobriety journey to be here today to like still come back to shows and be like I have a place here even though like I don't party anymore too. Like as a creator, like I still love this community because it has so many different positive aspects. It's not just a place to like be free and party. It's like it's definitely somewhere where you can genuinely just express yourself without judgment.
Yeah, and I think that's just the truest mark of freedom, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Steph, for hopping on the podcast and getting real with us today. I really appreciate all of the words that you said, and I'm sure our listeners will really appreciate just the realistic approach and the struggles and the magic that happens behind the scenes. And Hockeys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Hockey's out.